What a run that was from Alex Rouleau. That really was quite spectacular, wasn't it? If you're tuning in on the live stream, you haven't missed anything. Alex Rouleau was the last car to go through, and what a run it was, Nick. I was just saying, wasn't I? He's not going down without a fight.
No, he's very, very good, Dan, and last year's winner, of course, but Hayden Paddon has taken this to a whole new level. And talking to Andre Lukash earlier, he was just saying, how good is it that we are getting to match ourselves and match our skills against drivers from all over the world and some of the best in the world. Now, Andre said to me he equalled Alistair McRae's time on one of the stages, and he said, I'll frame that stage time. Because, you know, it is a wonderful, I mean, you never know how good you are, do you? You know, you might compete against 10 people and win every time, but then there's another 100 who are better than you, and you haven't met them yet.
Yeah, correct.
So this has been a wonderful opportunity for our local drivers to match their skills against people from all over the world and to find out where they really fit in. And we've talked about 1 second a kilometre a few times this weekend, and that's all it takes, a second a kilometre. That's about the gap that Hayden Paddon has over Alex Rouleau. And Alex Rouleau, a very, very competent guy.
I was just about to say, exactly. He finished fourth this year in the Australian Rally Championship, fifth last year, and finished third in the Adelaide Hills Rally as part of that championship a couple of months ago. He got a career best ARC result this year of second place in the Queensland Rally earlier on this year, and he still remains, Nick, Alex Rouleau, the youngest ever supercars driver at the age of 16, breaking the record held for many years by Paul Dumbrell, a man who debuted in Super 3 at the age of 14. And he raced against the likes and beat the likes of Brodie Kostecki, Will Brown, Thomas Randall, Bryce Forward and Macaulay Jones throughout the 2018 Super 2 series, and actually beat them over the course of the championship. And look at what Will Brown and Brodie Kostecki in particular have gone on to do in recent times.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive CV, isn't it, when you've got those notches on the gun?
Yeah.
That's great work. We haven't talked a lot about Strathalbyn this weekend. I mean, there's a lot to see and do in Strathalbyn.
I did, but you didn't quite so much when you were down there enjoying the sights and the sounds, Nick. But yes, to your point, Strathalbyn, what a town.
I was fraternising with the locals down there with their enthusiast cars and chatting with Shannon's Insurance, our naming rights sponsor of the 2025 Adelaide Rally. But there's a lot to see and do. And what I haven't mentioned is that Collectible Classics, if you'd like to have something old and interesting in the garage, Collectible Classics is a place you can go and have a look at today, just in one of the side streets of Strath. There's also the Gilbert's Motoring Museum is open today, and if older memorabilia is your style, you can go and have a look through there and talk to Dave Vaughan. He's the motorsport chaplain, and he's down there as a volunteer today, just helping out. So go and have a chat with David Vaughan and find out what the Gilbert's Motoring Museum has in Strathalbyn. We're very lucky to have people like this preserve all the history of cars and motorsport, as we see the BMW with the JPS livery just stepping out, just testing the grip levels with its, probably using all its electronics there.
I thought that was gone for all money then. He really lost the rear. We haven't seen anybody out there. You could see by the way the dust and the dirt was being kicked up there on the outside of the circuit. That part has not been used at all. He sort of lost it, didn't he, through the first part of the chicane and had to gather it all back up again. But Matthew Simmons in his M3 competition was certainly pushing the very limits of adhesion. And for those just tuning in, welcome. You are watching the BMW Mini Tour. Myself, Dan McCarthy, joined alongside former competitor in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, Nick Lenthal, who can give us all his insights and his knowledge in the rally. Oh, a bit of a curb strike there. That's not what you want to see.
Don't damage those orange wheels. They've been one of the highlights of our weekend.
Now it's Rodney Aquid and Madison Aquid. They are sharing the driving duties, and I'm trying to see who is behind the wheel. It looks like it is Madison behind the wheel on this stage, and Rodney will be going, don't you damage my my wheels, thank you very much. I'll take over for the next stage now.
Dan, we've got a few blokes here this weekend who are as heavily into motorcycles as they are into rally cars. Tom Dermody, Alistair McRae, the late Colin McRae was also started out on motorcycles.
He did actually, yeah.
We've got a few of them here this weekend. If you're into motorcycles and you want to see something really, really special, just head on down to the corner of Grey Street and High Street in Strath. It's opposite one of the hotels, so you'll be able to have a drink when you get there. And you'll see the memorial statue of Kenny Blake. Now, Kenny Blake was a motorcycling legend in Strath. He won 11 championships, and he sadly died at the Isle of Man. He was killed instantly in 1981. The statue is made entirely of mechanical parts, was designed by Mary Lou Neese and sculpted by James Stewart, and weighs about 500 kilos, so you wouldn't want to try and move it anywhere. But it was fitted in, I think, 1981, I reckon. Don't quote me on that. But Kenny Blake, a big icon of Strathalbyn community and motorcycle racing. Go and have a look at it. It's really, really special. They built another one in Spain for another rider, and I reckon ours is much better.
You heard it here first. Ours is better. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, says Nick Lenthal, as the Zagami Tour gets underway with the first of the Lamborghini Urasis. Now, if you love your exotic supercars and high-performance vehicles, Zagami is where you can get them. And we will see quite a few Urases come through, including one driven by Scott Pye in the not-too-distant future. But we're going to hear some exotic, some exuberant noises head up the stage over the next few minutes, including this one, the Ferrari 812, that is heading up the hill now. This is car number 12. It is an immaculate 2023. Oh, he's just losing the rear a little bit there. I think he's turned traction control off as he ascends the fantastic stage here on the streets of Strathalbyn. George Panagopoulos having a red hot crack, that is for sure, and even the ABS lights showing, just indicating just how hard he is charging. Off goes the Nissan GTR, and next will be a brand new Lamborghini. Oh my goodness, what a noise. Let's listen to this up the hill. Oh, incredible, incredible. And it sounds just like the Pagani Huayra did last year. Here is Scott Pye on the start of this stage. There he goes, the 2024 Sandown 500 winner in his bright orange Lamborghini Urus. It's the second one, not the one with the moustache. It is the second one heading up the hill. John Frick in a McLaren 720S, made back in 2022. I think this is the nicest looking McLaren of the lot, or maybe the long tail. The 720 long tail would be right up there as well. The LT, that's what the LT stands for. But we've got a 765 long tail actually that will be coming up in just a few moments' time. So looking forward to seeing that one. Here is a Lamborghini Superleggera, one from my era. We are just holding them on the line at the moment. There might be another fan crossing. So the fans are allowed to move around, so we stop the cars for a couple of minutes and allow the fans to cross. So we're back underway once again with Tour leader number 16. That is Matthew Sims and Dennis Sims. They've been having a whale of a time this weekend. Geez, they're getting really loose around that second corner at the moment. As oh, what a noise. V10 power, 3.8 litre V10 I think it was back then. As we turn our attention to another V8 powered machine. Oh, look at that wheel spin in the Ferrari. Heading through turn number 1. The passenger's having a fun time, but the driver is working hard. This is the 488 GTB. right at the top of the range of the 488 model. Hand out the window, thumb up to the camera. Jackson's enjoying himself through this Strathalbyn town stage, as everybody is. What a spectacular place this is. I'll let you guys listen to this Porsche head up the hill. Alexander, you absolute superstar. Thank you very much for, Jackie, sorry, for bringing that Lamborghini Technica along this year. That is a brilliant beast, the lime green Lamborghini going up the hill. I've let Nick Lenthal loose out and about once again to chat to a few people. Of course, all the drivers in the competition class have now moved on, and they are very much descending upon the next few stages, as we say. This is the last live streamed stage of the rally, but there are quite a few more to come over the next couple of hours. 3 more stages after this one. Macclesfield 2, and then they go to one of the iconic stages directly after that, the penultimate stage, taking place right back in the heart of the Adelaide Hills at Warrawong, and then finishing with Sturt Valley before they head on down the hill for the presentation at Rymel Park. So if you want to see the presentations, or if you're in and around the city and you want to see these exotic sports cars up close and personal, head down to Rymel Park shortly. The first couple of cars will be there at about 2:30, so make sure you head down to Rymel Park to see all of that. Plenty more action to come though on the Strathalbyn town stage. In fact, we're just scraping the surface at the moment. We have a total of 488 cars as part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally in 2025. It is now the biggest tarmac rally on the globe. Yes, you did hear that correctly. The biggest tarmac rally in the world is right here on the streets of Strathalbyn, as through goes the Lotus Exige, the only Lotus Exige 410 here this weekend. Brilliant piece of machinery, so light and nimble. That's really what Lotus have built their cars upon. That is their philosophy. Colin Chapman, the designer of those first few Lotuses, the founder of Lotus, is all about lightweight engineering and getting the speed in that way. As through goes the Mercedes, there's another machine making a hell of a good noise directly behind it as well. It's a sight not only for the eyes but also for the ears here in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, with these exotic Zagami bought from Zagami supercars. Here is a brand new Lamborghini that is going to rip up the stage for the second time. Already done one running of the Strathalbyn town stage, and if you are tuning in here from the town, listening in on the PA, you can go. We've live streamed 2 stages every day so far. We did 2 on Friday, 2 yesterday, and of course we did do the first stage earlier on today as well. So 6 stages across the course of the weekend. Make sure you head to the Adelaide Rally YouTube channel or Facebook page to watch what you have missed as we see that Lamborghini hit the stretch. Brand new Lamborghini, as I say, and that is Tour leader number 17 of Fred Pascal. Sorry, it's not. It's Dimitrios in a Lamborghini V12 Reveletto. That's a V12 engine underneath the bonnet of that. Of course, Fred Pascal is in one of my favourite cars here, the Lamborghini, the Aston Martin DB9 GT Bond Edition. I love that machine. We'll see that in just a few moments time, but now we're seeing a McLaren head up the hill. The roof has been dropped and you can see the sunlight shining off the bonnet of this McLaren. Philip is going to be absolutely loving life behind the wheel there as he slams on the brakes. The rear wing comes up and then drops back down again as he gets back on the power. Great little feature of the modern McLaren supercars, like your DRS system in Formula One. Oh, the old school Falcon liveried Porsche. Oh yes, 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 yes. Big fan of this. This brings back memories from my childhood. Oh, how good is this to see? It's been part of the Adelaide Motorsport Festival on a couple of occasions, and great to have it hit the hill here in the Adelaide Rally. The Shannon's Adelaide Rally, of course, they share our passion for motoring. They won't just sponsor your motor vehicle, they'll sponsor your race car and all of your tools that go with it as well. Shannon's a major partner of this event, as is the South Australian government. They continue to back this year after year. It could not be possible without them, so thank you to the South Australian government for continuing to show your support for this event. While we have a little break in proceedings, the cone's out ahead of the GR Yaris. Nick Lenthal is down there.
Dan, you're doing such a good job that I'm down at the pub. I've sort of finished for the day. I reckon I'll just have a couple of beers and join my mates down here. So I'm with Brooke and Chad and Jordan and Scott. Yep. And they're old Mount Barker boys. This is not their first time. They've been before. Guys, Brooke, if I can ask you, how are you enjoying the rally?
Awesome. I wasn't meant to come, but I'm here and I'm loving it. It's good.
So you got the Guernsey at the 11th hour? That's it. Yeah. And fellas, what is it that you love about the rally?
Just the cars, the people, and got great weather.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been some really good noise coming from some of these cars. What's your favourite? Do you like the V8s or some of those four-cylinder, naturally aspirated cars that they rev to 10 grand?
I think we're all sort of a bit of a V8 fans around here. With along with these boys, we all own V8 cars, so it's sort of in our blood to have the sort of the V8s around. But it's good to see a good variety of cars. You get everything from your 6-cylinders, your 4-cylinders, naturally aspirated, your turbos, your supercharged. It's just a great event to enjoy. It doesn't matter what car, what engine you like. You just get a bit of variety, and it's great for everyone.
Absolutely. And did you go over and have a look at the cars that were in the show and shine competition?
We definitely did have a quick look over there. Yeah, perfect grounds, nice and green, plenty of water around. Yeah, it's quite nice.
There's a lot to like about Strathalbyn. It's a very pretty town. And, you know, this event brings about $200,000 in cash into the community over the rally week. So much so that they ask us back. We don't ask them if we can come back. They ask us. So, guys, great to see you're enjoying the event. Thanks for having a word with us. Dan, back to you.
Thanks very much, Nick Lenthal. The crowd are just crossing the track at the moment, so it was an opportune time to go and chat to some of our fans, and great to see a few Mount Barker locals here on the streets of Strathalbyn. People coming from far and wide to be here this weekend, and certainly finishing off in style on the streets of Strathalbyn. We are right in the middle of these tours. We've just finished the exotic supercars of the Zagami Tour, and we're now going to move things swiftly on to the Solitaire Tour. So let's find out a bit about what Solitaire is all about.
Solitaire Tour returned to the Shannon's Adelaide Rally in 2024, and this group contains a large amount of supercars, but also sports cars. 6 manufacturers are within the tour, including Audis, Aston Martins, Alfa Romeos, Cupras, Jaguars, and even Land Rovers.
As a Pom, I obviously love the Aston Martins, but what variety we do have from the Aston Martins to everything else in between. The Alfa Romeos, of course, and yes, certainly love my Italian machinery, of course, big Ferrari fan. But this is cool. Solitaire, they came back to the rally after a year away last year, and so glad to have them back again in 2025 with a big field of tour drivers. As we say, so many different brands represented within Solitaire. We're going to start things off with the Aston Martins. No, we're not. Oh, yes, we are. The Toyota there is conceding the view of the Aston Martin. So up goes the course checker, and then we're going to move things on. So Aston Martin's first, followed by the Jaguars, the Alfa Romeos, the Audis, and then of course we do have a couple of Range Rover Sports in there as well. So something for everybody here at the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally, whether you're a family man or lady with a family. We've got some sporty SUVs out there. We've also got some exotic supercars, and maybe for some young guns, some youngsters tuning in, some hot hatches out there as well. And we are letting things rip. Up goes the Aston Martin. That is Tour leader number 1. Heading up there first into the stage. That, everybody, is a brand new 2025 Aston Martin DB12 that we're looking at on the screens. Thank you very much, Luke O'Neill, for bringing that. One of the most beautiful cars money can buy on the market. Doesn't it look incredible? And it's got good braking performance as well, as Luke shows us into the fast chicane around the water barriers that concludes the 530-metre stage here in Strathalbyn. It's the shortest stage on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year, but certainly one of the most popular. The drivers themselves, it might not be their favourite stage, but they enjoy showing off in front of the local fans and really putting on a show for them as a old school V8 Vantage. Or in fact, no, I don't think that was a V8 Vantage. I think that might have been a DBS, and it was a Aston Martin DBS from 2009. As up goes the Alfa Romeo 4C. You can't miss this one in its distinctive colours of yellow and red. The 4C came after the 8C, which is a bit of a bigger version of this car. It really was an attempt from Alfa Romeo at a supercar. It had moderate success, but nothing like the 4C that came after it. It has really become a cult classic, and I'm sure it'll be around for many years to come. Really has gained huge popularity, that car, and as I say, I'm sure that'll be a collector's car going forwards. Here is the Range Rover that I was talking about, the Range Rover Sport. It may be the heaviest car here this year. In fact, I'm quite sure it is the heaviest car here this year, but as it says in the name, Range Rover Sport, it still goes up the hill pretty quickly here in Strathalbyn. As we move on to the BMW Mini Tour up next, that is the last of the Solitaire cars to head on up the stretch. So BMW, let's find out what BMW is all about.
BMW and Mini Tour contains 32 BMWs and Minis. It features mainly modern machinery, but a couple of old classics as well. There's no shortage of BMW M products, from the M2 all the way up to the M5, and there's a variety of Coopers in there as well.
Oh, there goes a Jaguar. So I think we're still within the Solitaire Tour. So although there was an out of place BMW there, I think we are still within the Solitaire Tour. I think a few people have, I think he's been left behind there a little bit. So yeah, Solitaire going on through. And there we have an Audi. So yes, that is proof there that we are within the Solitaire Tour still at the moment. And BMW is well ahead of where he should be at the moment, but all good. Through goes the Audi hatchback, the RS3 hatchback going through the stage. Doesn't it look absolutely fantastic? It's got a real Audi look about it, their distinctive grille on the front of the car. It looks mean, it looks angry, it looks powerful, and it goes very, very quickly as well. As we now see the first of the Jaguar F-Types going up the hill. It's the 181 machine of James Edwards. Bruce Pakes alongside of him. As I say, the F-Type, hasn't that been a popular machine the last few years? This one of the early ones from 2016. So we do have an F-Type all the way up to 2023. We've got an even earlier one than this. This is the middle of our ages in the Jaguar range. as through he goes, and another Audi on the bottom of the start line. There's definitely a few out of place BMWs in there, which is certainly throwing a cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say, as the red Jaguar comes on through. Or a bit of a lose there from the white Audi driver as he'll fly through the Shannon's Kink and up towards Bridge Bend just in front of the church, as we continue to see the Solitaire come through, the Solitaire Tour. Down to you, Nick.
A name known to many Porsche owners in Adelaide when they need a service done on their car. Craig's been in the game for a long time, but today he's just chilling and taking in the rally. Craig, how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, thanks. The weather's great down here in Adelaide. Unfortunately, the Renault Motorsport car is out of action today, but we're down here supporting the Porsche Club and the other people in their Porsches as much as we can, but no problem so far, so it's just been a day of enjoyment for us.
And it's not your first time, is it? You've been a part of this for many years?
Many years, yeah. We've been doing Porsches for many years, and it's a great event. We love it.
Well, I know that you worked with Mark Buick over the years, and now with Renault Motorsport.
Yep.
That's a whole new ball game for Porsche owners.
It is, yeah. Mark's still with us, which is great. So we've got all of his expertise from the racing side to road side. And yeah, the new business is going well, and Mark's a great addition.
And motorsport prep is a big part of that?
It is a big part of it, yeah. We're doing motorsport prep and standard servicing now, which is fantastic. Still running the cup cars and doing track days, which is what Mark's really great at.
Well, I don't want to take any time out of your chill time. I'll let you go and have a beer now.
Oh, sounds good. Thanks, Nick.
We'll probably see you next year.
You'll definitely see us next year. Good on you. Cheers, Nick.
Cheers, man.
I think 99% of people that are here this year are saying, I will be back in 2026. And a lot of other people saying, I missed out this year, but I will be in the field next year. We are now in the Mercedes Tour, as there we can see the cars heading through the barriers. That is a current Mercedes AMG GT supercar. And boy, oh boy, does that fly. 0 to 60 in pretty much 3 seconds on the dot. As we can see, just going through in front of the church. Not being driven at full bore, that particular one. Maybe this one will be. I'll let you listen. As it's about to take off into the stage. When it does, I will go quiet for a brisk moment, as I'm sure you'll all around the stage be very pleased to hear. But this is going to be a cracking few cars coming through. We've got a few Mercedes sedans. Here comes the GT. As we say, we've got something for everybody in the Mercedes range, haven't we? We certainly do. And up next, we have a bit of an older Mercedes that is hitting the stretch. Just a couple more to go, including one of my favourites. Lightning McQueen is about to ascend upon the Strathalbyn town stage. Ka-chow! Here he goes. Oh, great start from Lightning. Tons and tons and tons and tons of tyre smoke pluming from those rear wheels. He'll need a new set of tyres. SA Motorsport tyres, the place to go to get all of your tyres. And we can smell the tyre smoke that Daniel Scott left behind there on the start line, putting on a show as he has done all weekend long and concluding the Mercedes Tour. We're about to turn our attention to the first of the Porsche Tours now. Here's a bit of information about said category.
Porsches? Then the Porsche Club Tour is for you. It contains machines made by the iconic German brand, from the legendary 356 SC made back in 1964 right up to present day machinery made over 60 years later. There's a great mixture of cars, old and new, something for every Porsche enthusiast.
Whole host of Porsches. We've got two Porsche Tours here this weekend. We have Porsche Centre Adelaide Tour and we have the Porsche Club Tour. Well, if you like your flat sixes from the German brand, then this is very much the category or the couple of classes for you, that is for certain. As the Porsches head up the hill, and we are kicking things off with the Porsche Club, Porsche Centre Tour. I had a 50% chance of getting it and I got it wrong. So it's the Porsche Centre Adelaide Tour that is going up first. Oh, how good does this sound? That's a little GT4 machine, the 718. We've got Taycans, we've got 911 Targas, Caymans, GT4s, 911s, GT3s as well. We really do have you all covered. And there's such iconic and unique machines. Even non-car people can look at a Porsche and go, that is a Porsche. And that's one of the remarkable things about the brand. It doesn't matter if you're a car person or not, you can tell a Porsche from a mile away. But despite that, they continue to improve. They continue to change the cars year after year, and they just get better and better. Just when you think they've reached their peak performance, oh no, they come out with a new model the year after year after year after year. They continue to improve upon their machinery, and they do the same in world-class motorsport as well. As Vic Moore comes up to the grid, myself, Dan McCarthy, joined back in the commentary box by Nick Lenthal. Nick, Vic Moore, a South Australian rally stalwart.
Yes, competed with Vic in many Adelaide rallies over the years. We had a great time. Wasn't sheep stations, but we had a ball doing it. And very different cars, of course. Me in a Ford Escort, Vic in a Porsche, always. And he's now president of the Porsche Club, and he does so much for the club and to further the ownership experience for Porsche owners in Adelaide. So we see him moving through the stage. He actually is a tour leader this year, so he's just guiding all the other Porsche blokes through it, and I dare say he's probably enlisted a few of them as well. He's probably said, you've got to do this, you're missing out, you've got to do it. I just had a talk to James Wilshire, Dan, who was doing the Prima Tour. Now James Wilshire is a real good technician, but these days he's just about finished his engineering degree, and yesterday was the first time he had driven his Porsche Boxster on a closed road. Sorry, awesome. Friday in the Prima Tour. And he just looked at me and said, it's like they're different roads. And I said, yep, you got it. You know, and these guys, I mean, he's done a lot of the club motorsport on circuits, but that was his first time driving on a closed road. All right, they're only limited to 100 kilometres per hour, but he said most of those corners you couldn't get anywhere near 100 kilometres per hour. So he said we had a great time. He went out with his dad, so it's a beaut father-son bonding thing. I don't know who drove. I would imagine James would have driven all day because he likes to steer. But that's the kind of thing we're talking about. It's tiered motorsport. If you want to just put a toe in the water, go and do the Prima Tour, see what it's like to drive on a closed road, crossing the white line, back and forth, from apex to exit, accelerate, brake, and experience the joy of rallying. It's different than any other kind of motorsport. And clearly, he's a convert. He's hooked now.
Well, actually, on the way to your house earlier on today, Nick, I took on the Sturt Valley Road, or half of that stage that was when I drove through it, yet to be closed. and I was obviously sticking to my side of the road at 60 k's an hour, but even then I got a real sense, and I was thinking, man, I'd love to drive this a bit faster and use both sides of the road, because it is an immaculate piece of tarmac.
If you've never done it, you don't know what you're missing. It's just pure joy, and when you get to the point where you have a co-driver with notes, pace notes, the chemistry that happens, you just know when you're doing it right. You don't even need to see the stage time at the end, because as we say, when you finish the stage with a smile on your face, you know the time is good.
Absolutely. Just going back to the Sturt Valley stage, that is to commence in the not too distant future, and that is the final stage on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year, Nick, and it is a spectator-friendly stage. So if you are around the Stirling, Crafers area, the Sturt Valley area, we ask you to jump onto the Adelaide Rally website and find out a bit about it. But it's scheduled to start at 2:30, the Sturt Valley stage, which takes on a fair bit of Mount Lofty Summit Road, and also Green Hill Road as well. So it's they wind down the descent of the Sturt Valley alongside the Sturt Valley River with several hairpin bends, and spectators can watch from the hill on Ironbank Road where the tennis courts are located, and see them head through that narrow section of road. It's a great part of the world. It's a road that I drive on daily, and it's certainly a great way to finish the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. So make sure you head down there before 2:30 to see those competition class cars head through the stage.
Dan, the start of that stage, which comes from the Soldiers Memorial Hall, just off Upper Sturt Road, down Sturt Valley Road, is super duper tight. There's a few hairpins along the way, and then there's a really narrow stretch that goes down over a narrow bridge, and it's so reminiscent of 60s rallying in the UK. Every time I drove through it, I just used to think I was Roger Clark, you know. Then it goes to the intersection at Ironbank, turn left, and they go back up Sturt Valley Road to the Mount Lofty Railway Station. I stopped just a bit before that, but yeah, for people who live in Stirling, that you know that road, and you're going to see those guys going through there at absolutely full clip. You'd be amazed just how fast they can go down that road, but don't try this at home.
Absolutely. Up next we have the Ferrari Club Tour. What a fine addition this has been to the Shannon's Adelaide Rally in 2025. It's a new tour. We've only got just under a dozen of them, but this will grow, I'm sure, in years to come. And we said, Nick, although some of these other tours have 30 cars, the Ferrari Tour, with the price of these machines, it's multi-million dollars that are heading up the stage.
It's quality over quantity, mate. It's I couldn't calculate the value of this car park. And Dan, if you tell me who is coming up, I will try and give you some insight into that car.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Nick, he's got his notes out ready for these machines, because they hit the stage pretty quickly. It might be a tour, but they certainly do head up there at a vast rate of knots. We've got another of our fan crossing moments before we get the Ferraris underway.
Safety the highest priority in this event, not only for drivers and co-drivers, but also for spectators and communities. We don't want any bad press. We want to be embraced by the local community, and we want to be asked back. And we have been asked back, Dan, twice by the Alexandrina Council, because they love it. It's worth around $200,000 to the local community in terms of spend from people visiting the town. And I know whenever we did recce on the Adelaide Rally, which would take probably 6 days in total, it was called by one of my co-drivers a bakery tour, because it was just from bakery to bakery, and we have some great bakeries in our Adelaide Hills towns and Southern Vales towns, so this is no exception. I'm sure they've sold a few extra pies over the last week.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I wouldn't mind one right now, actually. It is just on lunchtime, and due to the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year being at a capacity field of 489 cars, it meant we didn't really have a lunch break, did we? We finished the first run through the stage and straight back on again with the second. No rest for the wicked, Nick.
I know, and we are wicked. Wickedness, a term described by Oscar Wilde as a term contrived by good-thinking people to describe the curious attraction of others.
Is that right?
Yes, so I'll subscribe to that. I resemble that remark. No, it's it's been full on for us for the last 3 days. We have had very little break, and sometimes it probably shows when we get tongue-tied or can't think of the next word to say. But
what a privilege.
I've got to say, a thoroughly enjoyable experience for us, and a privilege to work with Tim and the organising team for the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Courtney and Yanni, Tim, yourself, and of course the Streamcraft Media boys, Will and Marcus and all the crew, Dylan, who I work closely with. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. And look, it's not a big deal outfit. What they do with minimal resources is sensational.
Our first Ferrari is heading up there, Nick. The number 984
is an F8. That's an F8 Spider, and 4-litre twin turbo V8, 489 kilowatts. If you drive a Ford Mustang, you're about 170 kilowatts per tonne. This car has double that, 340 kilowatts per metric tonne. And that's enough to get you to work on time.
Here we have an old school Ferrari 458. So this came from the round about the late noughties. This was the last real naturally aspirated V8 engine that Ferrari did before moving on to turbocharging those V8 engines. But of course, we still have some V12 engines. This car in particular is of significant note, the 987, Nick.
That's a California, Dan. It's would you believe that car is 15 years old?
Yeah, 2009, wasn't it?
They just don't date. They're just a beautiful shape, and they're just so elegant. They just don't date. That is 4.3 litre, no turbo on this one. This is an aspirated V8, so you'll be able to enjoy the note of this car. Really nice note.
We've got a couple more Ferraris. This old school 308, Nick, just sweeping through the Shannon's kink and blasting towards the final couple of corners.
Now, Dan, they used to have a lottery in Adelaide where you could win a Ferrari. It was $100 a ticket, and I was in it every year. I just wanted a 308, and then it was a 328, and I wanted them so badly that I would buy a lottery ticket every year. And then years later, I met a bloke who won one while he owned one. And I thought I should have had that one. That was mine. So I'm still waiting for my Ferrari 308, but they have, like everything else, appreciated in price. And now you'll be looking at middle hundreds for that car, more than what it was new. But like everything else, old is cool.
Absolutely. This rounds out Ferrari Tour. Up next, Hyundai Tour. As a decisively new Hyundai Tour continues to grow year upon year. It's made up of Hyundai end products built in the last 5 or 6 years. The i20N, i30N, i30N sedan, and even an Ioniq 5N will all be taken to the legendary Adelaide Rally stages. So good to see these hot hatches on the streets of Strathalbyn. And Nick, we got a few circuit racing drivers aboard these machines who are certainly giving it a red hot crack on the Adelaide Rally, one of which is Matthew Titani alongside Lisa Titani. Now Lisa Titani, Nick, has been in charge of organising all 411 volunteers. What a task she's had this weekend. But Tim has given her a break today. She's been on the stages on Friday and Saturday, and she said, I'll let you drive with your brother tomorrow.
She must have got the short straw, Dan. So looking after 400 plus volunteers, I mean, as well intended as they are, I just cannot imagine trying to coordinate that. So well done, Lisa. Fabulous job. And we're even seeing a Hyundai XL race car. If you haven't seen a Hyundai XL one-make race, it's some of the hardest fought motorsport you'll ever see. They just drive tooth and nail. It's like they're joined at the hip when they go around a racing circuit. It's thrills and spills and very easy to upset these little lightweight cars. But that's over and done. We're now on to the Hondas, and a more loyal bunch of owners you won't find, Dan.
Absolutely. Let's have a listen about what the Honda Tour is all about.
In 2024 was the Honda Tour. Last year the class consisted mainly of Honda Civic Type Rs, but this year the category consists of modern cars, but also the Japanese brand's cars dating back to the late 80s, including NSXs, S2000s and Integras.
Which one takes your fancy, Nick? Honda S2000? Honda Civic Type R? Which one really appeals to you? Well, maybe even the NSX.
Now, I've got to say, Dan, Honda Civic Type R, motoring writers love it. They fight each other to get to road test one. And, there was a time when I thought the Civic styling had just gone, they'd lost it. I thought they'd lost the plot. And now the Civic Type R is a car that I really like the styling of. And of course they're a very quick car and a wonderful car to drive. I'm told that they don't even feel like they have front wheel drive.
I've heard that as well. And as we see, the last another fan crossing has just concluded, so that means that Martin Guppy will be heading up the stage in a matter of mere moments. A 2022 Honda Civic Type R we can see at the front of the grid, but we've got Hondas of all sorts, as I said, in that package, from newbies to older style stuff, including Honda Integras as well. But we're seeing that range right here, Dylan, providing us with these images. And there's an S2000 as well, just behind a blue one. Nice to see. We've got the laptop out doing some maths. Maybe they should be part of the TSD division, Nick.
Ah, right. Okay, that's their next gig. S2000, very sought after car. Always was going to be a classic from the day it was launched. While Subaru were building all-wheel drive turbo cars, 2-litre turbos with about 168 kilowatts, around about 2000, Honda launched the S2000, making about 165 kilowatts at 8,000 revs without a turbo. So a real tribute to their engineering skill, and of course, Dan, so much of that born out of Formula One knowledge.
Yeah, good point you make there, Nick. Of course, they are going to get back involved in Formula One next year as an engine supplier to Aston Martin, but they were a fully fledged factory team. They supplied Max Verstappen with a few championship-winning Formula One powertrains as well, but of course a fully fledged Formula One team in the early to late noughties. Of course, Jenson Button won the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix in a Honda, and of course that team became the £1 team. Ross Brawn bought Honda out for £1 and turned it that year into a championship-winning team. I don't think that will ever be replicated again.
That sounds like a Kerry Packer deal.
Well, I said that should have been the base of the Formula One movie rather than the thing that we were provided with. You can probably tell my opinions on the film. I think the Brawn story would have been a brilliant Hollywood script. Ross Brawn bought Honda. Honda said they couldn't, due to the global economic crisis, couldn't commit to Formula One anymore. Ross Brawn bought the team so the people at Honda weren't made redundant. He bought the team for £1. He used Honda's design that they were meant to use in 2009, stuck a Mercedes engine in it, and Jenson Button won the World Championship that year. Now, if that's not a Hollywood script, I don't know what is.
Well, it's clearly you've found your vocation there, Dan, and I think you should get into the movie scene as soon as possible. Now, if we're going to talk movies, for those of us who can remember, those of you who are a little older than Dan, there was a movie in the 60s called Grand Prix, and it starred James Garner, of all people, more famous for his performance in westerns, but that was largely about Honda's initial foray into Formula One.
Yes, it was actually. Yes, very good thinking there, Nick. A nice little nod to the category of which we just saw heading up the hill. But Main Tour is up next. What's it all about? It's a little bit different. Well, let's find out about the Main Tour.
Sees entrants drive through all 3 days and 30 stages with a maximum speed on closed roads of 100 kilometers an hour. The Main Tour incorporates both manufacturer tour groups and regular tour groups. While the Main Tour is open to all vehicles, within the Main Tour, featured manufacturer tours include Zagami, Mercedes-AMG, Solitaire, Porsche Centre Adelaide, Porsche Club, BMW Mini, Ferrari, Honda and Hyundai.
The main tour has begun. It was led by Nathan Green in that glorious Nissan Skyline GTR from the 90s, but currently we're looking at Laszlo heading up the hill in his Mercedes, Nick, the 314 number.
That's a 2014 C63, Dan, edition 507, and great shape. I mean, the new one is, or the newer one that followed that, is also a terrific shape, but that shape hasn't aged, I don't think. I still really like it, and I almost prefer it to the one that followed.
Through the chicane, the Adelaide Australia corner as well, turn number 2. Oh, how good is this? In recent times I've seen a few of these back in Touring Car Masters, and what a fantastic circuit racing category. This is home to a few old Porsches. Of course, they still compete in Group S racing, of course. This car, known for its straight line speed, well, straight line acceleration, I should say, from 0 to 60 in just miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, and Declan showed us just that when he put his foot down.
Car number 311, the Nissan GTR of Declan Walsh and Josiah McMillan, a 2009 car. Didn't they just change the whole status quo, Dan?
Nothing corners like a GTR. The grip that thing produces is second to none. They don't use normal air in the tyres. They use special air.
Nitrogen?
Yes, correct. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Science is not my specialty subject.
No. But yeah, I didn't even know that they pushed nitrogen for the tyres. But there's a different kind of Nissan, a 200 SX. That's the SR20 turbo engine, and they were really the predominant choice of drifters. They were grabbed by drifters for their rear-wheel drive turbo style handling as soon as they were launched.
Tour leader 12 is next. Peter Mayer at the wheel of a Porsche Cayman GTS 4-litre engine underneath the bonnet of that machine. It's hard to believe you can fit a 4-litre under the bonnet of that. Well, I say bonnet, Nick, of course, being a Porsche.
It's the boot.
Yes, correct. Old habits die hard.
Very conspicuous yellow for the Cayman GTS 4-litre. Yellow cars look good on TV, Dan. That's why I had one.
What, for TV purposes? How often did you have it on TV?
As often as I could.
Says the man who owned a bright yellow Ford Escort. Yeah, exactly. So, up next we... oh, yes, thank you very much for that. Putting on a show, the 336 it is, Matthew Caon. We haven't seen too much of him this weekend, but he thought, here's my opportunity. I can see the cameras. Let's give myself some airtime. Let's light things up and put on a real show. He's swerving down the back section, trying to kick the tail out. He's really trying to impress the fans, and he's certainly impressing me.
This is the one that we didn't get in Australia, Dan, the 180 SX. These were JDM import cars, and people just lusted after them. They wanted as many as they could possibly get. That's an RX-7 FD, what you call a Series 6 to a Series 8. A beautiful shaped car.
Oh, yes.
And really ageless. They are rocketing up in price, sadly, because you know, they've just slipped out of my grasp for sure. But I've owned a few Rotaries, and that car, you could put it in a showroom now and it would look new. Doesn't date.
No, absolutely not, Nick. This year, we've mentioned it a few times about our sponsors, of course, Shannon's. They share our passion, and they'll sponsor not only your home, but your race car, your road car, and everything in between. Even the tools, Shannon's will sponsor. It's tailor-made for car enthusiasts, but so many other sponsors, Nick, including SA Motorsport Tyres and Calder Wealth Management.
Now, Mark Povey, he'd be rubbing his hands together down at SA Motorsport Tyres, watching all these blokes fry their tyres and stuff. He'd be going, oh, business is going to be good this week. But really a man to see. So much knowledge of both circuit, tarmac and rally tyres. He's a gravel rally driver himself. And in fact, he's just been to the Rally of Finland for his honeymoon. So probably picked up a few notes there from the WRC teams on how to choose your tyres for your preferred form of motorsport.
Of course, Toyota, you say about the WRC teams. Yes, Toyota Gazoo Racing is the factory, obviously Japanese team, but they are located in Finland, and Nick's mouth has just gaped open. It is, I don't even want to look at your mouth right now, Nick.
Now this, if you're a fan of the Gumball Rally, one of the great car movies of our time, where the AC Cobra, as they called it in the movie, 427 Cobra, diced it out with the Ferrari Daytona Spider for the full length of the movie. If you haven't seen the Gumball Rally, go see it. It's one of the best, funniest car movies of its time, and clearly it was made by a bloke who loved cars, because the soundtrack is real. And when you listen to the 427 Cobra, I just had to go get one. A tribute car, of course. Can't afford the real one, but this looks fantastic. The big lake pipes down the side, the individual roll bar for the driver, and the bonnet scoop out the top. Big 427 power. You can see how those guards were flared over the years as a progression from the initial 289 car. Carroll Shelby just turned this car into an absolute legend of car, and in that, of course, was Ken Miles, the legendary test driver who also raced at Le Mans and brought success for Ford. Ken Miles raced a Cobra, a lot of you wouldn't know this, raced a Cobra at Lakeside in Queensland in the 60s for one of our championship events. As we see, someone's brought their duck, Dan.
Yeah, I'm gobsmacked by your Ken Miles fact. I didn't know that. I never knew he raced in Australia.
He did, only once. He was brought out here by the organisers of the meeting as a draw card. They wanted someone who would really bring the crowds, and Ken Miles sure did. But I can't wait to hear this big example of American muscle, short wheelbase, wide track, handful to drive fast, and only the best could do it. Carroll Shelby, Ken Miles, just a terrific car, so much presence.
The dock race is happening here in Strathalbyn next weekend. In 2023 it was part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, but the weeks are different in the last couple of years. The good news, Nick, is that the spectator crossing has now concluded. That cone will be removed in a matter of moments, and we can unleash the rest of these machines up the hill. This is the last of the real tours, Nick, the main tour. Spirit Tour, we up the pace, we up the performance, and that's when we get things a bit more serious ahead of Challenge and TSD in the not too distant future. Our last two timed categories that will hit the Strathalbyn stage, so don't go anywhere. Whether you're here on the streets of Strathalbyn or watching on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally YouTube or Facebook page, stay glued to the action, because we do have some more timed classes to come through in the not too distant future. As we see the Porsche on the grid, not too far away from getting that one up and going. As we say, we've already seen over 50 Porsches go through in the Porsche Centre Adelaide and Porsche Club Tour in the last hour or so. What a privilege it's been to have Ferrari Tour, of course, Zagami back, Solitaire Automotive. Nick, having all those tours, it really does add to the event. And as Matt Selly and Jack Monkhouse, two drivers in the competition class, said to me earlier in the weekend, without those tours, we ourselves can't go racing in a full capacity. The tours are what make this event happen.
Of course, and it's also what makes it the biggest tarmac rally event in the world, judging by competitor numbers. But the other thing is, what has made the event more relevant is that if you own one of these Butte cars, and I think we're looking at Sean Bennett and
Tom Gilbert.
Tom Gilbert. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for my seniors moment there. Sean Bennett and Tom Gilbert, couple of Adelaide Hills boys, involved with the Toyota dealership is Tom, and Sean Bennett with real estate. They're just running their 911 as a tour leader car. If you've got a beautiful car like this is a classic car, what are you going to do with it? Well, you're going to take it out on the Adelaide Rally with closed roads. Yes, you're limited to 100 kilometres an hour, but as people have pointed out to me who've been doing the tour, most of the corners you can take at 100 kilometres per hour anyway. So you've just got to, keep your head in on the straights and, not do anything silly, not put a bad image on the sport. And I think these guys have successfully held up that banner all weekend. As we see Tom and Sean take off to start the stage. These cars at 4-second intervals. This is the Peugeot RCZ R, it's called, I think it is.
Yep.
And it's a very special car. It's got the double bubble roof, which they all had, but this is a special version. It had more horsepower. They only built 3,000 of these, and they built them in about 2019. They launched the RCZ in 2014. Listen to the Cobra. That low rumble.
We'll listen to it here as it comes through the Shannon's Kink. We'll go quiet for just a moment. Let's listen. What a noise, Nick. What a noise as it goes in front of the church on this Sunday afternoon. Thank goodness all the prayers have been finished this morning, and the Cobra comes through and ruins all of the peace here in the town of Strathalbyn.
How's the serenity, Dan?
Yeah, exactly.
An AC Cobra 427 in its day would do a 14-second standing quarter mile if you took off in 4th gear. So that's how much torque they had, from 0 to standing 400 metres in 14 seconds, starting off in top gear. It didn't need the acceleration. They had so much grunt that they would outperform anything out there. And speaking of which, here comes our Dodge Hellcat. This is the supercharged version of the 6.2 litre Dodge. It's a weapon. It's a commemorating the lineage of Japanese muscle cars. Lots and lots of horsepower on tap, and he's actually taking it very gently because he probably knows he'll light up the tyres at any opportunity. As we see the Morgan Aero 8 with its 3 individual windscreen wipers across the front.
They were used yesterday.
They were used yesterday in unison. It was quite pretty to watch, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
It was like synchronised swimming. But this car, a 4.5 litre BMW V8, it's not an old car. It commemorates, of course, the lineage of Morgans, which have been built using the very traditional style of wooden floor, wooden frame they started out as, with 4-cylinder engines. And now they're running them with V8s and a more lightweight aerodynamic body. It weighs as much as an MX-5, and it's got more than double the horsepower. So
yeah, it certainly does. There's a couple of cars that we didn't see because there's so many going up at the same time, so many unique cars. A couple that caught my eye, Nick. You know I'm a hot hatch fan, being a Brit. That's a pretty obvious thing. There's a Renault Megane RS 300 trophy. 300 referring to the amount of horsepower that has. Incredible that a little hot hatch can have 300 horsepower. That one driven by Jay Donald and Alexander Zara. And there was also in that little group an Abarth 595 Competizione. I don't think 595 there refers to the amount of horsepower underneath the bonnet of that one. That's a bit too much for a hot hatch.
No, but that car is an example of the cars that raced in Italy in a one-make series. Sorry, not a one-make series, a small capacity series. And those Fiat Abarths with their 1000cc engines dominated that championship for some years. And look, we've talked about how Adelaide Rally represents many levels for people to get involved in motorsport. We talked about the Robbie Brocklebank Toyota, which is not an expensive car. Robbie would be the first one to tell you that. But also, when you talk Renault speak, the Renault 172 that's in the event. Now that's a car, you could buy one of those in good condition for $5,000. You might want to fit some good tyres, good brakes, good pads, and some good shocks maybe. You're still under the $10,000 bracket, and you can do one of the tour events and have an absolute ball. You don't need a roll cage, you don't even need a crash helmet, but because you're driving at road legal speeds, but you're using closed roads and enjoying the idea of actually positioning the car to get the best line through the corners, going from apex to exit, and look, in your own mind, you might be Sebastian Ogier, but at least you're having the same amount of fun, and the speed is not necessary, because when you're driving through those tight, twisty roads, you can have a lot of fun at low speed.
Oh, sounds like there's been a moment down there off the start line. Somebody has just had a bit of a moment. We can see Dylan down there. He's having a look as Greg Murphy is about to take to the stage, or is about to light things up anyway as we get set to send this up the hill. Boy, oh boy, these guys put on a bit of a show. I'm not sure if Greg Murphy's actually behind the wheel at the moment. Looks like Gary Reid's behind the wheel based on that.
It does, doesn't it? Yes.
Known for his showtime stunts and things like that. He's used to driving sideways, an ambassador for Repco as well. And you can see why he's an ambassador for Repco, and he can drive like that. What a show, sideways through turn number 2, and he's going to try and give a bit of a Scandinavian flick, I think, here in front of the crowd. Lights it up. Oh, didn't quite light up as much as he would have wanted, but what a great addition to have Greg Murphy and Gary Reid here this weekend, Nick. They've had an absolute ball.
They have, Dan. And going from the ridiculous to the traditional and beautiful.
That's not normally how the saying concludes there.
No, this is the Jaguar E-Type, one of the prettiest cars of all time.
Certainly is. It's certainly a huge value car these days. I reckon that'll be $250,000 at least in this day and age. That thing is something to be truly desired. And so is this, for very different reasons. The old little Minis. We've seen a few of the newest stuff in the BMW Mini Tour, but this is a bit more old school. This is an old school Mini, Nick.
And again, a Repco presence from one of the marketing boys from Repco, from Adelaide, in Oh Behave, the number plate says. So quick salute to Austin Powers there. But there's not a lot of things that are more quintessential British than a Mini, is there, Dan?
Well, these days they're German, aren't they? So in that era, yes, British, absolutely.
Yep.
Here we go then. We're about to move on to the Spirit Tour, Nick. Something a little bit more serious, but still not timed. This is all about the Spirit Tour.
Redefining the spirited drive. Spirit Tour is a non-competitive class. It remains untimed and is monitored by rally-safe devices. This category is open to any cars. On stages, competitors may travel up to 130 kilometers an hour. Due to the increased speed, helmets must be worn and cars are released at 30-second intervals. This is a brilliant class to test the water and see if you'd be interested in competing in the Challenge, Competition or TSD classes against the clock in future years.
We are back on the streets of Strathalbyn. Myself, Dan McCarthy, joined by Nick Lenthal. Now, Nick, you were a former competitor in the rally. However, you no longer have a rally car. Spirit Tour is for somebody like you who still wants to have a real blast at pace, but with the safety, but without a rally car. So these are the road cars with a bit of a cage fitted and sent out, and they can have a real good crack, but not against the clock. For somebody like you.
And even though I said that I'd retired, I have to admit this is very tempting to just go out and have a bit of fun. These guys are having a ball. 120 kilometres per hour is hardly a limit. You could count the number of places where you really need to go quicker than that. And that's what rallying's about. It's about accelerate, brake, accelerate, brake, accelerate, brake. It's not about finding a straight where you can do 200 miles an hour and going, well, I won that because I've got the fastest car. It's not like that. Colin McRae famously said that straights were for fast cars and corners were for fast drivers. So you can do all your fast driving things, getting all the lines for the corners right, and not only that, but you're doing it with a co-driver, and when the chemistry works, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it, and it'll be a great memory for you. Remember when we did that Adelaide rally, and what about that stage we did? And of course, you'll exaggerate all the speeds and how good you were, because you're never as good as you once were. But the older you get, the better you work. So Rob Hunt doesn't worry about that, because he is getting on in years and he's still competing in the South Australian Rally Championship on gravel. Doesn't bother him, and he's still very competitive.
Yes,
let me tell you.
Exactly what I was about to say, Nick. Yeah, absolutely, he is still very, very competitive here this weekend as a bit of a road checker, making sure everything is safe before we get things back underway with the Spirit Tour. Looking forward to this one. As that little compilation package said, these guys are going to be sent up in 30-second intervals, so it means that they get the whole stage to themselves. A very unique opportunity as part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. As you can see, our first couple of drivers are on the grid, set to go. This is Spirit Tour leader number 1, Tim Knapstein and John Caldecott.
And Calders, of course, has been involved in many of these rallies with different drivers. Tim Knapstein, of course, if you've watched a lot of classic Adelaide rallies and Adelaide rallies, you would remember Tim in the bright yellow 240Z. Very modified, very low, and really driven hard by Tim. Winemaker, of course, of some note in South Australia and all over the world and the country for his Tim Knapstein wines. But they would be having a great time just leading this group, making sure that they set the pace, that no one goes too silly, that they just need to follow the leader and get a standard from them.
Here we go then, we're about to get things underway. We're under the starters orders before we get ourselves into this one. A whole host of different machines to come, from BMWs to Ford Falcons to Porsche 911s, Ford Mustangs, and everything in between. The Spirit Tour has continued to grow again this year, hasn't it, Nick? This year now, Spirit Tour, we are up into the 60s in terms of competitors in this category. This year, Spirit Tour has a total of 61 entrants. Compare that to last year, 52. And last year, I remember Tim Possingham saying we're so overjoyed with 52 Spirit Tour entries, and now we've got 60. Yep. 61, so it's just continuing to grow.
There's not many things that would have a 20% increase year on year in motorsport, but this event is one of them because every single category has grown. It grew from 23 to 24, and it grew again from 24 to 25. That is a wonderful, and I hate to use this expression, KPI, performance indicator for Tim and his crew, but you know, that's how things are measured. And when you look at the injection of funds into the state from tourism, people visiting the state from overseas, from other parts of Australia, it's worth about $2 million, I think, Dan. No, it's way more.
$7 million.
$7 million, and in fact this year it'll probably push 10 because $7 million is last year's figure. I was thinking of what it was worth to the Goodger Street party, was a $200,000 injection of funds to the retailers there in one night.
No. Well, Goodger Street's nearly $1 million. It's 200,000 here. It's nearly $1 million in Goodger Street.
See, it's been a long weekend, and I'm starting to fudge the figures now, but in the wrong direction. You're absolutely right. $200,000 to the town of Strathalbyn.
I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be way more than that this year, Nick. With the amount of people we've seen this year. It's been big in 2023. It was even bigger last year when we ran the thing twice. But I cannot get over the amount of people we've got now as Michael Wazinski goes up the hill and fires through in that Subaru WRX right on the limit of adhesion. As we turn our attention now to a Ford Focus. Blackbird is the number plate on the tail of that machine. And that's another great thing, Nick. You can put your own sponsors on the side of the car. Obviously, we want to keep all the stickers of all the event sponsors, but you can put your own sponsors on the side of the car, and it'll get quite a bit of coverage internationally, even, with quite a few Indonesians and Europeans tuning in to what's the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year.
The 415 car heading off, the Subaru WRX STI in World Rally Blue, of course. Is there any other colour to run on a Subaru?
Well, that's a very good point. I think, what do you reckon, about 95, maybe even more than that % of Subarus this weekend have been that colour, haven't they?
When I bought mine brand new, they said to me, what colour do you want? And I said, are you serious?
Is that an option?
Of course I want World Rally Blue.
There's other colours?
I want to be like Richard Burns and Colin McRae, Carlos Sainz and all those guys. So.
Absolutely. 3 WRC titles, drivers' titles were won by Subaru. The first coming in 1995 in the hands of Scotsman Colin McRae. The second came in 2001 with Richard Burns, and the third and final one came in the hands of Norwegian Petter Solberg. Of course, his son has been announced as a full-time World Rally competitor next year, young Oliver Solberg, who interestingly actually represents Sweden rather than Norway, unlike his father. So the Swedish youngster Oliver Solberg will be certainly an interesting one to keep an eye on as he replaces two-time WRC champion Kalle Rovanperä in the factory Toyota team next year.
Now, I'm going to have to chat with you about that one later, Dan, because I didn't know that that was the case.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so, but what I do remember is standing on a stage for Rally Australia in Perth and watching a whole crowd of people sing "You Are My Solberg" for Petter Solberg, whose nickname was Hollywood because he had such a big fan base.
Certainly does. A bit like Rifat Sunkar here at the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Of course, we do have some international superstars here, including Colin McRae's very, very successful brother, Alistair McRae, and also, let's not forget, our rally leader. And I've just got some results through in the penultimate stage, Nick. Hayden Padden, heading into the final stage, now leads by over 2 minutes.
Wow. As we watch Willa Walkup and Joel Johnston in the GR Yaris heading through, what a great choice for a class like this, well, for any class in rallying, but it would be just such an enjoyable car to drive with all the smarts that these cars have. 3-cylinder 1.6 litre turbo, and very, very capable little car.
Yeah, just on cue, isn't it? We're talking about Toyota Gazoo Yaris's, and there is one, the 406 going through of Paul Caffin, who's been a part of this rally for a good number of years. Great to have him back again.
Absolutely. There's a number of GR Yaris's in this event. There's even one of these special ones, Dan, the Marizzo GR Corolla, and that's about double the price of the other GR Corollas, but for the reasons of more power and lighter weight.
Absolutely. And we can see something a little bit different. We really don't have that many Ford Falcons and Holden Commodores in the event this year, do we? But this is probably the oldest one of the bunch.
Now, surely there's a group of people who would like to change that. Do we need a Australian manufacturer class coming in?
Yeah, a tour, yeah, exactly. Australian Muscle Tour. I can see that taking off.
Yeah. Well, we've had many, many Mustangs over the years with the Mustang Tour, and so I reckon a lot of those guys would join in with their Commodore rivals, and not only that, but of course the Ford FPV Falcon GT type cars. There's a place for them. Maybe we have to chat to Tim about that.
Here we have an old school Porsche driven by Jot Linus and Tom Linus alongside.
Now, Tim Linus, of course, was a stalwart in this event in his Shelby GT350 Mustang. I can't tell you how many Adelaide rallies and classic Adelaide rallies he would have done, but he was always queued up to do the next one. Loved the event, loved Tarmac Rally, and has a nice collection of small Fords too. Lotus Cortina, the Shelby 350 he sold once he stopped competing in this event, but if you're ever in Tanunda, you can have a look at some of Tom's Butte cars there.
Through goes the Mazda 6, who's put on a real show this weekend. As I say, earlier on in the first running, Nick, a very tame drive from Lee Thornton. I was very, very surprised. This does look a little bit more aggressive this time. You can see the brakes flashing on and off as he goes through the chicane. He puts on a show year after year, particularly on the starts. We often see a lot of tyre smoke situations, but again, relatively tame run. I'm sure he'll come back again and hit the strip with relative vigour in 2026. Through the Adelaide, South Australia 90-degree corner, then through the chicane, through the Shannon's Kink, and over the bridge into Bridge Bend in front of the church before negotiating Water Barrier Bend. Do you like my corner names?
As we see the Porsche GT3 disappearing and the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, Giulia Veloce coming out. Quadrifoglio, of course, four-leaf clover in Italian, after the four-leaf clover that was painted on the car of Tazio Nuvolari in the European Grand Prix in 1939. One of the mechanics painted it on for good luck.
Okay.
And it stuck. Nuvolari won the race. The Germans who he beat were so convinced that they wouldn't be beaten that they didn't even have the record of the Italian national anthem to play for the podium. So from then on, Nuvolari carried the record with him in his briefcase, so that would never happen again.
You know who also had that problem? Alan Jones. When he won his first Formula One Grand Prix, they did not have the Australian national anthem, so the band that was there played him Happy Birthday on the podium. And that's not that long ago.
I know, the world's become a smaller place since then, hasn't it? That must have been about 1981 when...
No, 81 was when he retired for the first time with Williams. So 79 was when he won his first race for Williams. So that would have been 1977.
Right.
For
okay.
Shadow, if memory serves me correctly. Please feel free to message us in the YouTube comments if I am incorrect, but I believe it was 1977.
And speaking of commemorating things, here's the Subaru 555 number plate on the factory livery Subaru. Reminiscent of New Zealand driver Possum-Born when he was rallying in Australia. Multiple Australian Rally Championship winner, the late Possum-Born.
Of course, the most recent Kiwi to win the Australian Rally Championship is leading this event, Hayden Paddon, and he fittingly dedicated that victory, Nick, to the late Possum-Born, who won his last championship around about 25 years ago. But I thought a real fitting tribute from Hayden.
Well, he's a wonderful ambassador for New Zealand for motorsport. They not only raced the cars, they built them for other competitors, Possum-Born Motorsport. And I know that all of the guys in Australia who were at that top level, Cody Crocker, Ed Ordinsky, Neil Bates, they were so saddened by the passing of Possum, because he was still a very young man, and no one was expecting that he would be taken out at such a young age.
Through goes the 459 BMW of Hugo Hurley Wellington. And again, another driver who's been in the Spirit Tour for a good number of years. I just thought we'd let you listen to that one off the line, Nick. That sounds beautiful.
The flat six sound of a 911 of Daniel Timms and Stephen Timms. It's a 1990 car, ageless Porsche 911 shape. And gee, I bet they're loving driving this car. Plenty of hoot and lovely handling manners. The rear engine car, of course, gearbox in the middle. And Porsche, you might say that held them back, but it didn't at all. They continued to develop that rear engine car against all comers and win against all comers.
Absolutely. Oh, so good to be here in the town of Strathalbyn, who gets so behind this event. And I could see even the bookstore right next to us where we are located, Nick. There's some real great books, motorsport books. They've really catered to their audience this weekend, including a book that I own. 20 years it was, 20 years of the Adelaide 500 when that book was released, all about the history of the event. Brilliant pictures as well. And of course the Adelaide 500, or the Adelaide Grand Final as it is now known, will be taking place next weekend. Who's going to win the title? Four can do it. Will it be the reigning champion Will Brown? Will it be the Sprint Cup champion Brock Feeney? Will it be Chaz Mostert, who is on a brilliant run of form in this final series? Or can it be the rookie sensation of Kai Allen, who's continued to punch above his weight this year and finds himself inside and within touching distance of his first title as a rookie, Nick?
Now, we've talked about brand loyalty a bit, Dan, but they don't come any more loyal than this bloke. Dan Beck is a rotary freak, and he's driving a beautiful Mazda RX-7 Series 6, an FD as they're known. So these were the cars that were Series 6 to 8, and again, just a timeless shape. Really, really good shape, hasn't dated, harder to buy now. people are hanging on to them, and if you want one, you're going to have to pay for it, because they really are sought after. Probably only in the last 4 or 5 years they've really taken a giant leap.
Do you like the reg on this? Rally is the registration plate on that Toyota GR Yaris, as up goes the Mazda RX-8, car number 429.
429 is the car of Matthew Bull and Brett Foster, a Mazda RX-8. Now this was the car that Mazda sort of took a slightly different approach by making this a more of a passenger-friendly car with the little rear door, the suicide rear doors on it, and a brilliant chassis, great engine. Some people chose them for a swap for an LS V8, but I think that's a bit sacrilege. You've got to stick with the rotor.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, actually. I couldn't agree with you anymore. Through the chicane and through the flat out Shannon's kink goes Mark Cicciarello in an Evo 10, I reckon that is.
And Damiano Pinano in the wrong seat. And yeah, Evo 10, Dan, you're spot on.
Next up, a Porsche heading into turn number 1. These first couple of corners, Nick, are very, very deceiving. They look like quite open corners. They are quite open, but they are very, very tight.
413 is the car of Alex Ramsey and Paulette Barama. 2007 Cayman S. 2007? It looks new. It's 18 years old. It looks terrific. You'd be glad to buy that as a used car, wouldn't you, Dan?
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect
absolutely.
shape. Now, this is a Renault 172, isn't it?
It is indeed.
416 is a Clio Sport 172.
Yes, correct.
Driven by David Schlichting and Graham Ricks. And look, if you want to get into rallying or hill climbs or circuit sprints, this is one of your good choices. You can have a lot of fun in one of these on a budget, and yeah, plenty of guys running them, so you can always hit other people up for spare parts. There's always going to be some parts for sale on their relevant social media pages that are well used. Onto the Focus RS, car number 428 of Michael Galash and Alice Cross. That's a 2016 car. God, I can't believe that car is 9 years old.
I know, it is quite remarkable, isn't it? Of course, we had a couple of front runners in the challenge class throughout the weekend. Daniel Andrews, he will be coming through in the not too distant future, but I've got the results of the penultimate stage on this rally. Hayden Paddon leads by 2 minutes and 2 seconds ahead of Alex Rouleau. It looks to me now like Oscar Matthews has cemented himself position number 3 in the running order. He is 1 minute and 7 seconds ahead of New South Welshman Josh Redhead. Frank Kelly, he's probably spent a bit too much time sideways in the last 24 hours, particularly in the wet weather. So he is 21 seconds behind. I don't think that's going to be quite achievable in the final stage, but he's going to give it a red hot crack. Nevertheless, top 5 finish from the Irishman. He sits ahead of Stuart Reid, the best of our Indonesian visitors, Ryan Nerwin. Then we have Tom Dermody, Nick Strakheisen and Andre Lukash rounding out the top 10. The closest battle going into the final stage is that fight for 4th position between Redhead and Kelly. So barring any major issues, I'm not sure we'll see too much movement in the final stage. But Nick, as we've seen in the World Rally Championship on a number of occasions, it can go down to the final stage on the final day and it can be lost just hundreds of meters from home.
It's a cruel sport. There's no forgiving in rally, especially at World Championship level. We've seen Sebastian Ogier, whose skills are undeniable. I mean, the guy is as good as you could get. If you had a choice of employing drivers, he'd be top on your list. But even he has crashed on the last stage more than once while being under so much pressure from his rivals. And, you know, Kalle Rovanperä, Oit Tanak, Thierry Neuville, all those guys, Elvin Evans as well, who is a teammate, they all keep the pressure on. And if you crack under pressure, then you can easily throw all the things away. The trees are very, very close on those stages, and you only need to run just off the road a foot or so, and all of a sudden you've rearranged the suspension in your car and you can't continue. So yeah, it's never over till it's over, is it, Dan?
Correct.
Back to what you were saying about Oscar Matthews, an inspired drive.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is fantastic. And I'm not taking anything away from Alex Rouleau and Hayden Paddon, but those Rally 2 cars are a level above what Oscar is driving. It's an older car. It doesn't have all the smarts. It doesn't have all the wizardry that Rally 2 cars are using these days. That is a great, great drive.
Certainly is, and he's got a couple of Rally 2 cars behind him, well, one anyway, in the form of Josh Redhead. So that's Rally. They're both combined. It's for an outright class, both Rally Pro and Competition are being combined. Rally Pro are your Rally 2 cars, your AP4 cars and the like, whereas Competition is what we've seen here in the years gone by, Mitsubishi Lancers, Escorts, Porsche 944s is what I was trying to say there. So Paddon and Rouleau comfortably lead the way, but in terms of competition, it's a huge gap back to Kelly behind Matthews in the competition class. He leads that by a minute and a half, which is so very, very impressive. Incredible performance from Matthews to be 90 seconds ahead of Frank Kelly for competition class honours.
And look, Frank Kelly, rear-wheel drive, 4-cylinder car, no turbo. It has to be said, you know, an all-wheel drive turbo car does have the edge on what Frank is driving, but Frank's car is a highly developed car. It's not short on horsepower, and the only area where Oscar is going to really excel over him is probably with a lot more torque from the turbo, because the naturally aspirated car would be looking for revs to make its torque. And look, still a wonderful matchup, a really good dogfight. And Frank Kelly and his daughter Lauren in the co-driver seat. I interviewed them on Friday, a nicer couple of people you never meet. A wonderful ambassador for the sport, and he is famous all over the world for putting smiles on the faces of rally fans as they see him go sideways into every corner.
And here is another Ford Escort going sideways through corners. It's Shannon behind the wheel as he flicks it through underneath in front of the church. But Nick, what I was going to say, you're talking about Frank Kelly. The great thing this year is all of our international visitors seem to want to return, whether that's Alistair McRae, whether that's Frank Kelly, whether it's our Indonesian contingency. All of them have said, even before the rally started, oh, we'll be back.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a return to competitive motorsport by Alex McRae. Such was the fun that he had on this event, and he was going really well yesterday when he had a little incident and rearranged the front of the car. So they had a look at it last night. They thought that they might be able to have it back on the road today, but nah, they just didn't have the resources they needed to do it in the time they had. So that's very unfortunate. Alistair, thanks for coming. If you're watching this, we've really enjoyed having you on the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally, as have all the punters who were watching. To see Alistair McRae drive a car was something they were all really looking forward to. He was looking forward to it just as much himself.
Oh, I think he's trying to
hold the phone.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a problem there, if he's going to slow down and do a burnout or something in front of the fence. No, I think he was looking down at his centre console. So there's something that's gone into a limp home mode or something there, which is a shame. Hopefully that can be rectified at stage end. He will limp across the line. Hopefully that can be rectified and they can finish the rally, because that would be devastation to get this far, Nick, just a couple of stages from home, and to not complete the rally is a real shame. 663 kilometres covered in this race. 147 of which are competitive stages. But yeah, to go this far, we're probably within the final 50 kilometres of the rally. To get this close, over 600 Ks in, you've done over 9/10 of it. You've only got 10% of the rally to go. You want to make it to the end.
And I know what it's like to lose it all on the last stage, Dan. It's so demoralising. I was running up Mount Buller in the Escort last stage of Targa High Country, and I could smell the finish from there. And all of a sudden, no drive, no gearbox. And then we had to ride in the bus of shame with all the other people who'd broken their cars to the finish. So, yeah, it really hurts when that happens. But, you know, I guess it's worse when it happens on the first stage. We had so much fun doing it. And to drive that Mount Buller road was, whoa, this is gets you full attention.
That's the 436 of William Scott heading up the hill. A Subaru BRZ, and again a slide, of course, the Subaru BRZ and the Toyota 86, Nick. They both look identical. The only way to differentiate them is, well, maybe the colour if it's a Subaru, but particularly that logo. They are identical in every other way.
That's right. So here we have another one of the WRXs in the Subaru Tribute livery. It's such a great livery. That was such a good signage that they used back in the day.
Certainly was the 555, the lucky number of the Chinese, I believe. I believe that's where it all came from, or why the company is 555 that emblazoned upon the factory Subaru cars for so many years. As we look at the Golf R, look at that roar away from the line. All-wheel drive grip, launching that towards the first corner.
Yeah, and you're a hot hatch guy, Dan. You don't mind a bit of Volkswagen product, so it's great to see a Golf GTI out there. I mean, they were for a long time the hot hatch that other hot hatches were measured by, and then everybody else decided to join in the fight, and it became a really hard-fought market segment. Probably was in its day the biggest selling market segment. And now in Australia, the SUV market is the one that everyone's chasing. Even Ford Ranger and Hilux, the biggest selling vehicles in Australia. So a very different market, but hot hatches were the order of the day in the UK for some years.
I've got to talk about some other people that have jumped on board with the event this year. Acru Harrod Orchard is an Adelaide-based tax, accounting and business advisory firm that helps clients build and grow their businesses. And yeah, if you want to try and grow your new business, they are the people to contact. Acru Harris Orchard, spelled ACCRU, Harris and Orchard. So nothing to do with the local area growing fruit or anything, Nick. No, it's to do with accounting and business advising.
Nothing to do with the orchards of cherries in Cherryville?
No.
Or the orchards of apples in Lenswood? No, this is an entirely different orchard.
And we've got to also, we haven't mentioned today, prostate cancer, Nick. They're the charity of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. Why should people get themselves tested?
Well, as Craig Lowndes pointed out last year when he was ambassador for the Prostate Cancer Foundation, prostate cancer is a very treatable disease if it's detected early. And that's why fellas who are, you know, they're all too tough to care, you need to go and get your PSA check, your prostate-specific antigen check from your GP every year, because if it's detected too late, it can be the end. But if it's detected early, there's every reason why you should expect a full and healthy life following it. It can be treated in a number of ways, and that PSA check, it's just a little blood test, is all it takes to just keep on top of it.
You mentioned Craig Lowndes there. Of course, he has departed 888 Race Engineering after 21 years with the team, not only as a full-time driver from 2005 through until the end of 2018, but a co-driver since then from 2019 onwards with the wildcard program. But of course, a new 888 co-driver the last couple of years, Scott Pye, here as part of the event. And he's another one, Nick, that really sounded like he wants to be back going forwards. He's really got the bug.
Well, of course, he'd driven the roads before, being a local.
Yes, of course.
You know, just in his daily commute, but he'd never got to drive them like this. And I think he was sharing that same sensation that when you get to drive them using all of the road, it's like it's a different road. It's like, wow, this road's good. Have I ever been on here? Yeah, of course you have, commuting. But it's a whole different ballgame, and I think Scott was clearly taken with the thrill of just driving down both sides of the road. I mean, Heck, he's one hell of a steerer anyway.
Yes.
And he would have loved it.
Of course, his very successful podcast, along with Elliot Barber, has gone. Of course, they did a live, their first ever live podcast at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival earlier this year, and he jumped in the comms box with me for a NASCAR session because he was driving a couple of NASCARs. That's part of the flavour of the Repco Adelaide Motorsport Festival, isn't it? But the Apex Hunters United podcast has certainly gone from strength to strength.
Dan, this car surprised us yesterday. It was very spiritedly driven on the Warroa stage. I thought that was gone for all money there, but very spiritedly driven, and in fact probably had the best jump over the little crest that we had of all of the cars. It was spectacular. Yeah, it gets a bit taily, the Z, and there's the finish of the stage.
When he was braking and the rear was coming around, I thought he was in trouble then. If in doubt, power out in that situation.
That's right, the Ari Vatanen technique. If in doubt, flat out. Yeah.
That's a very good impression. I thought Vatanen was alongside me there for a moment.
Ah, dear. One of the great thrills of my time meeting Ari Vatanen and having a bit of a chat with him. What a very affable, accommodating bloke for a guy who is a rallying worldwide superstar. Is so revered by everyone, and you heard Frank Kelly say on our interview on Thursday that he used to watch the Circuit of Ireland, but when Ari Vatanen arrived in Black Beauty, the black Mark II Escort, he said it was all over for him. He just had to do it. There's no question.
This car, the oldest in the rally this year. Last year it was the 1964 Porsche 356 SC. This year it is that Austin Healey from 1957. Do you think we can go older than that next year, Nick?
I'd say so. We have, you know, a long time ago had much older cars than that. 1930s cars, supercharged race cars, and who knows? You know, they might come back if there's enough of them. We'll create a separate group for them, and you know, we've got some tailor-made stuff now with these 100 km/h, 120 km/h speed limited groups, these tour groups that are just a perfect fit for guys who want to run their older car. They don't want to destroy it. They certainly don't want to scratch it because they're worth way too much money now. And you know, even a car like this Mustang-shaped Toyota Celica hatch, the prices are going up, and these guys are getting a little bit cautious about doing this kind of event. So 100 km/h or 120 km/h speed limited tour group is ideal for them.
There it goes up the hill. That's been a real crowd favourite as the Toyota Celica, and around that time is actually there's a Bond film. James Bond had a Toyota Celica from that era. That wow. In the very, very, very early James Bond films. So that was one of his cars. But of course, these days he's known for his Aston Martins, and we've had a great range of Aston Martins in the Solitaire Tour, from your V8 Vantages to your DBSs and even the V12 Vantage and everything in between. Of course, the big SUV, the DBX, of course, as well. But brilliant to have so many Aston Martins. Of course, we have BMWs, not only in this, the Spirit Tour, but of course as well in the BMW and Mini Tour. We couldn't make this event happen without the support of the tours. Hopefully we see you all back in 2026, Nick. We're coming right to the end of the tours now, and we're not too far away from getting back to the timed classes, Challenge and TSD, to round things out as part of the coverage of the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Nick, we're about to get cracking with those in a very small amount of time. Here is the final of the Spirit Tour cars heading up the stretch, the longest straight on this stage. It is turn after turn after turn.
It's a great mini stage, isn't it? A super spectator special for the punters to get up and close to the cars without having to drive to some, you know, tight road destination in the Adelaide Hills, which can be a bit hard to get to sometimes, especially when we close them at the start and finish of the stage. So it's really hard to get in. But stages like this are really important to the future of rallying. even on the World Championship stage, and that's why they've made their events more compact and more accessible to the to the punters. I think that means don't go yet. The witch's hat on the bonnet, it's not a hex, it's just a don't go just yet. But yeah, Super Special's very, very important. Every World Rally Championship event now starts with a Super Special that is in the city, very close to the media start of the event. I remember going to one in Portugal and it was just epic. It was just fantastic. And these days they generally race the cars one against the other in the Super Special. They use slightly different circuits that cross over each other so that they both complete all of the same loop but in a different way, and it makes it very exciting stuff for the people who are watching the start of the rally. And of course sometimes you'll pick up 3 or 4 or 5 seconds on that, and it sets the tone of your rally for a really, really good gap.
Yes, it certainly does. So challenge is not too far away. As we can see, there's still a lot of people here in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. And up first will be our challenge class leaders, Nick. Let's not forget that these two in the 601 machine, Tom Rogers and Stephen Rogers, for much of the weekend they sat in position number 4 outside of the podium positions. But in the rain yesterday, they soared to the front and have pulled a significant margin coming into this final day. There they are, the two Rogers. And they are looking to hit this final stage in a matter of mere moments. But haven't they done well? They've just stayed out of trouble and find themselves up the front with just a couple of stages to go.
It's a good place to be with a couple of short stages to go. As we see the Daniel Andrews car with the commemorative Ken Block livery. And our mate Jai Raymond, boy, he had a weekend. He's out here. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you representing. They have had all kinds of trouble with that car. They replaced a gearbox and then replaced it again with another one last night. That's troubles. Robbie Brocklebank, how are you, mate? Good to see you giving it the berries again. Do you want to say hi to your mum?
I'm sure he already has. Oh dear. He even put a post up on social media, a selfie with his mum, who's actually a volunteer official here this weekend. One of the 411 of them, Nick. And it's not possible without every single one of them. So thank you if you have been a volunteer, marshal or official throughout the weekend, whether you're here in Strathalbyn, whether you helped out in the awful conditions yesterday throughout the afternoon. Thank you so much. Your contribution has not gone unnoticed.
And Corey Fechner in the BMW M3. Mate, we have loved listening to that 4-cylinder scream. That is a bit of history, that car. A very rare car indeed to be out on the Adelaide Rally.
And we're going to hear them all one more time. One more blast through the streets of Strathalbyn to finish things off in the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. What an edition it's been, Nick.
Hi, fellas. Good to see you out there still.
Really has been quite the edition. We're now into the TSD competitors, which will be coming through very shortly afterwards. TSD, that's all about regularity, trying to hit a target time. And you can't break 120 k's an hour. You can't go under 20 kilometers an hour once you initially get up to that speed, of course. So that's what TSD is all about. And we're not too far away from getting things going. We can certainly hear the Mitsubishi on the start grid, can't we?
Dan, let's not forget these guys have driven 175k over the last couple of days at absolutely full concentration. As quick as you can, but don't mess it up. Not too fast. And they now have the 7 kilometre, well, they have this stage to go, which is a mere 530 metres, but they have Macclesfield, 7.4 k's. Fantastic stage. I mean, the trouble is when you do a stage like Macclesfield just before the end of the event, you just wish it wouldn't stop. You just wish this could go on for the rest of the week because it beats going to work. But Macclesfield, a beaut stage. They will run from Macclesfield to Echunga. They'll do a little regroup. Then they'll go through Warrawong, which is a short stage just at the back of Aldgate. It starts out of Mylor, and then to Sturt Valley. So those two final stages, only 3.8 Ks and 3.2 Ks in length, but very twisty and can easily catch you out. And these guys would be hoping, do not throw this away in those last couple of shorties. There's not a lot to be gained. You're not going to pick up a lot of time in 3 kilometres, but you can throw it away.
Yeah.
You can lose your head, and sometimes you think you can stop concentrating now because, yeah, we're there now, when you're not there. And even the best of them, Ari Vartanen for one, passed the leader of a rally, thought, wow, how good is this? We're leading, and crashed on the next corner because you just lost concentration for a second.
We've seen that from the Ford Focus that's on the screen, unfortunately, this weekend. He finally took the lead. He was inside the top 3. He overhauled both of the Subaru Prezas ahead of him. And then on the very next stage, after leading the Shannon's Adelaide Rally Challenge class for the very first time, unfortunately, he hit troubles himself, and as a result is not in podium contention here today. This man certainly is the 601 machine, the Rogers and Rogers combination. Tom Rogers and Stephen Rogers in their 2002 Subaru WRX STI. They are about to hit this stage with vigor. We are just moments away. Let's get ready for these revs to rise. Looking forward to the end of this event. The last update I had is that these guys lead their class, and this is actually a current update. They lead the class by 1 minute and 2 seconds ahead of the Man-Man Subaru combination, and Robbie Brocklebank in his Toyota Corolla continues to remain on the podium, and it looks like he'll hold on. He's 3 minutes ahead of Fechner.
It's amazing what happens, Dan, when you limit cars to 130 kilometres per hour. You can't just bring a gun to a knife fight. You're in it with the rest of them. And full credit to Robbie. These cars are timed. They're limited to 130 kilometres per hour. A full roll cage is required. And that's another thing that Robbie has stepped up over the few times that he's been in the event. Gone from putting a toe in the water, okay, now let's have a go. Full cage in the Corolla, and speed limited to 130 kilometres an hour. If he is on the podium at the end of this rally, Dan, there's only about 13 kilometres to go. If he's on the podium, that's a really creditable drive.
It certainly is. Through the first corner goes Ken Block. Well, it's not Ken Block, it's a tribute livery, of course. And doesn't it look absolutely immaculate, the Hoonigan tribute livery flying through these stages. I really feel sorry for Daniel Andrews. He's done so well this weekend over the last couple of years. A recent step up from Spirit Tour, and he's done so well, but one mistake and his rally has been ruined. Unfortunately, these guys have suffered with technical issues this weekend. Joe Raymond and Jen Methwin Raymond, unfortunately, the last couple of years, they've been right in the hunt, but been plagued by mechanical issues in their Rover SD1.
I sent him a text last night and said, don't be so hard on the gear. He just laughed and sent me a couple of emojis, you know. Here we go with the Subaru.
This is the team in position number 2, and certainly didn't roar off the line there, did it, at the start of the stage, but he's got up to pace now. As we've said, though, in this stage, Nick, with the wall so close, the water barrier's right there as well. You can't win the rally in this stage, but you can certainly lose it.
You can sure throw it away, and in the most recent World Rally Championship round, Taka Katsuta did exactly that. He had to drive in between some water barriers. He missed one, went slightly the wrong way, and then decided he would push the water barrier out of the way. End of story. Destroyed the radiator and all the front end. Couldn't continue.
Here is Robbie Brocklebank. We've said throughout the weekend, haven't we? He's always been aggressive, 110%. Often you'd probably say a bit too committed, a bit too aggressive. This year, he has matched speed with smoothness to go with it, and a lot less aggression. And the pace has come as a result, Nick.
In a rally, you have to have respect for the roads. It's not a racing circuit, and you haven't driven it 500 times. You don't know every single corner and every bump in the road. You've got to treat the roads with respect. And look, there's been rallies where people have climbed up the leaderboard because some of the faster guys in front of them went too quick, and it ended badly for them. So there is a happy medium that you've got to achieve in a rally car.
Certainly is. Now we move on to TSD for the final time. Oh no, sorry, that's still one of our challenge class cars. I do apologise. That is the Greg Swiggs and Tanya Pluckenham Mini that's going through. We've still got, it looks to me like around about 4 or 5 more challenge class cars to come, so my apologies there. Of course, these guys are comfortably within the top 10. I think they're in about 8th position in the challenge class, as off goes Dudson in the Dudson Automotive Citroen C4, one of my very favourites. This is the car I grew up with in WRC.
And this is the car that won last year, I think, Dan?
No, it was the Man-Man Subaru combination.
Right.
It was right inside the podium fight. It just missed out on a podium last year. Last year they finished the event in 7th and 5th in the year before. So yeah, they've been in and around 5th, 7th place in the last couple of years. Unfortunately this year they've had to settle for a couple of positions further down because the field quality has really lifted this year.
That's right. As we see the 609 car of Chris Bowden and Reynard Smith, the 1985 Porsche 944 Turbo with red and white commemorative livery. These guys, I think they've had a pretty good run. I reckon they had one hiccup on Saturday. Listen to the BMW M3 16 valve, 4-cylinder, an icon of German motor manufacturing. Very collectible car, and it's great that Corey chooses to bring his out and thrash it on the Strathalbyn town stage. Doesn't that sound mint? That is so good.
Certainly does, doesn't it, as they roar through the final couple of corners on this stage, and we move on to our final challenge class car. And what a way to finish this class with the 1993 Porsche 993. It's just going through Jim Richards' tribute for Duncan. Through he goes down the back section of the course over the bridge. What a picturesque part of the world this is.
It's fantastic, and we've had the luxury of our drone pilot Luke all weekend, and we've had a different view to what you normally get when you visit a town like Strathalbyn or Cherryville or Upper Hermitage. So we've had some really great drone shots of the surrounding countryside and all the other reasons why people love to visit Adelaide and just get involved with the scenery. Where we were at the top of Corkscrew on Friday morning, if you visit that area, you must park on that intersection, or away from that intersection, I should say, and get out of your car on Church Road and have a look at what is around you. It is stunning. You could go to Sicily to get views like that.
TSD, Nick. TSD stands for time, distance and speed. It's all about trying to hit the target time, and as we can see, the 502 machine is heading up there now, and what a fantastic category this has been this year. So competitive, new names at the front as well. It has been awesome to see. Coming into this stage, Nick, the lead for the BMW drivers has extended. Earlier on today, it was just 2 points separating them. Stephen Mallow and Shane Wood now lead TSD by 7 points, ahead of William Kay and Kim McGuinness in their Mini Cooper S. However, Nick, 7 points is absolutely nothing, because if you're too fast by 2 seconds, that's 10 points straight away.
You've blown it.
And you've blown it exactly right. This
Dan,
is so tight.
We didn't think when we lined up to do this event on Friday morning that the tightest tussle of the entire event would be in a regularity category. And I can tell you, it's been on for young and old. They've been jostling positions for all they're worth. And it's no wonder that when this category wasn't going to happen one year, all the drivers got together and said, no, we'll go and find all the competitors, just put us in.
Absolutely.
Such is their loyalty to this category.
These are the two-time winners of the TSD class. Well, the last two winners, we should say, in 2023 and 2024. However, these new challenges have certainly taken the fight to them this year. And they've actually accumulated more penalty points than the last couple of years. There you can see Chris really slowing down towards the end of this stage. But Chris Oldacre and David Greaves, they are 31 points behind the TSD leaders now. I don't think they're going to be able to overcome that with just a couple of stages to go.
You know, the Macclesfield stage through to Echunga is going to be the acid test, because it's a 7-kilometre stage. It's a butte stage. It kind of draws you in because you're enjoying the road so much, and it would be so easy to just blow it on that stage. Then you've got 2 3-kilometre ones afterwards, and again, you know, you only have to have a little lapse in concentration. Oh, we went too fast, we went too slow. So this is a real cutthroat kind of category.
This is the Mini Cooper that is second in the category. And I have to say, Nick, this has been attacked with real vigour at the start of this stage. They're going to have to really slow down at the end, and that's exactly what they are doing right now.
No,
so
less
this
than
appears
20 kilometres
to be
an hour, guys.
Yeah, this appears to be the strategy, though, by a couple. I saw that by Chris Oldacre and David Greaves as well. So maybe that's the idea with TSD. You attack early, go as fast as you can, and then slow down to 20 k's an hour. Certainly that appears to be the strategy in this, the final live stream stage of the rally this year.
Is it getting you in, Dan? Are you going to compete in this next year?
I think you've become a TSD convert. Let's be honest, Nick, you weren't a big fan of it when you first commentated on it a couple of years ago, but over the last couple of years you've certainly gained some interest in this class.
Yeah, and look, cars like this just add to the engagement, don't they? It's probably a 62 Beetle, I reckon, and it's clearly not got a 1236 horsepower engine, but driven by Tracy and Gordon, her partner, and you know, if you want a couple who can do the steering and the maths on the fly, these guys just love it. They are well suited to it. So is the car, and you can have an enormous amount of fun driving not the fastest car in the world.
It's actually a really good battle pack, 7th and 8th between the Volkswagen Beetle and the Holden Commodore. When have you ever seen a 1960s Beetle fight vigorously against a Holden Commodore? Well, the answer is TSD at the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. They're split by just 5 points with 4 stages to go.
Maybe I could enter my ute, Dan.
You
next
could?
year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be in good company.
Yeah.
Holden versus Ford ute battle. That'd be a new one.
Speaking of, this isn't a ute, but it's certainly in that ilk of V8 Aussie muscle. It is the Ford Falcon, driven by Super 3 driver and Super 2 occasional driver as well in Ryan Gilroy, and he's giving it a red-hot crack. They might even be just throwing caution to the wind, I think, here, Nick. We saw a Ferrari in TSD do that last year. They just went, oh, bugger it, there's a crowd, let's just go for it.
How many points did they lose on that stage?
They lost 90 points alone on this stage by going 18 seconds too fast.
And next we've got Jay Dawson up in the Mark II Escort with the Group 4 look flares on it, the Forest Arches.
This is our leader in the category. Stephen is at the helm of the BMW 535i, but as we say, Nick, we might go to the final presentations and it might be the other way around with just 7 points between he and the Mini Cooper duo of William Kay and Kim McGuinness. It is so open in TSD.
And look, great to see these boys still out there. They've got a couple of stages to go, which I'm sure they'll thoroughly enjoy because they're nice twisty roads. And it's taking them back into Stirling. These boys running a 2-litre Pinto engine, which is what the car came with. It's not highly modified, running a couple of Weber side draft carburetors. And, you know, Jay drives a Mitsubishi Evo as his daily, but he chooses to compete in this. And that's a reflection of how good this category is.
It certainly is. One final TSD car heading up the hill. The Mazda MX-5 car number 509. Roy and Wayne they've certainly enjoyed themselves this weekend as up they go through the hill. And Roy sits in position number 10 at the moment. Unfortunately, they accumulated hundreds of points on Friday in the first stage that we were at of Cherryville. I've certainly seen 3 days of intense motor racing action since then, Nick.
As we see, this is our tour closer, isn't it, Dan, I think?
Yes, it certainly is. The 999.
Just ready to move into position, and the sweep car following him. And that's going to put an end to our entertainment today, Dan.
It certainly is, but what a 2025 edition it has been of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Nick Lenthal, I'd like to get some final words from you. This rally is big, it's back, it is 100% back to its glory days. It's going through a purple patch once more.
This was like a bucket list experience for me, Dan. It would only have been better if I was driving in it, but not to put any dampener on our commentary performance. But to get to chat with people like Alistair McRae, Frank Kelly and his daughter Lauren, John O'Moyer from Victoria, some of the best escorts not only in Australia but in the world. You also had a chat with Hayden Padden, with Alex Rouleau, with Rifat Sunkar. We've had just such an international field this year. It really has been the icing on the cake for what has always been a good event. But this year it's just reached, it's really hit its straps, and it's growing, and it's only going to grow more.
And I've got some news to report. As we sit right here, right now, the rally winner has just completed the 30th and final stage, so I can pronounce that Hayden Padden has taken out the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally, doing so by 2 minutes and 6 seconds ahead of Alex Rouleau. Oscar Matthews, the local hero, finishing in position number 3, a further 2 minutes back. Josh Redhead finishes in 4th, ahead of Frank Kelly in position number 5 in his Ford Escort. Then we had Reed, Nerwin in 7th, Dermody in 8th, Strakays in 9th, and Andre Lukash rounding out the top 10, just ahead, just 15 seconds ahead of Sunkar in position number 11. The viral sensation, we hope that he and all of our 489 cars return to the 2026 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. From myself, Dan McCarthy, and my co-commentator, Nick Lenthal, it's been an incredible privilege to bring you this year's event, and we can't wait to see you back here in Adelaide in 2026.